do want to talk about too is the Nelk Boys. Because have you seen them recently?
No.
They haven't been like around much. And I saw this thing that said that right now they're in the works of getting canceled. Welcome back to the Riff Podcast. We got a few things now. Okay, we're back on the new year, right? First off, it's freezing outside. Like literally, I think it's 13 degrees, which we're in Texas right now. And 13 degrees in Texas doesn't happen much, especially Dallas. Like when you go further, like towards New Mexico, towards the Rocky Mountains, right? Like over there, like Lubbock, Amarillo, those areas, it gets cold. But Dallas, Fort Worth, didn't get 13 much.
We didn't have snow last year, did we?
No, there was ice. I don't know if it was snow, but it was ice, definitely. Yeah, no, there was.
Really?
Yeah, there was. Because I remember I almost got my van stuck last year.
Or was that last year?
Yeah. It wasn't the ice apocalypse deal because I was in college during that time, so it wasn't that. But there is snow and ice right now. And I just came from snow and ice being in Breckenridge, so I'm not like... You know, like used to be whenever like it's a snow day. Remember when we were kids, we'd go out and have like...
Yeah, no.
You'd have the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole neighborhood would come out. And
Nowadays, it's a snow day, and people are like, "Oh yeah, now I can play more video games and watch the Nelk Boys or watch this podcast, whatever it may be." But that is one thing I do want to talk about too is the Nelk Boys. Because have you seen them recently?
No.
They haven't been like around much.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. The last thing I did see, I guess it was when I watched that Bet David interview.
Yeah, and that was like, that was before Christmas.
Yeah.
So I think their last post on the Nelk Boys like actual page had to be, it was that Hasbulla deal. But it was a while ago. It said 2 months ago because I just looked. It was 2 months ago that they posted the Hasbulla thing. Then obviously their podcast they've been ripping. And the last one was 6 days ago. But before that, they had their podcast, they've had like 3. But Instagram page, since December, they've had nothing. Which, it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But for a page like that with 4 million Instagram subs, like, I don't know. I'm not on Snapchat. I would imagine like no, I don't even think I've seen him much on Snapchat. And I saw this thing that said that right now they're in the works of getting canceled.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
It said, I saw the guy that was talking about it was, I guess his company, he said the same thing happened to him.
Where'd you see that?
I don't remember. It was like Get Schmacked guy.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I saw that too.
So yeah. What was it again?
He was just saying that, I didn't really know what he said. Something with New York Times writing an article.
Yeah.
Like, saying that, he said first, like, they wrote an article saying they're doing good, and then they write another article saying they're doing, I don't know. I didn't really know what he was saying.
Well, I think kind of what I gathered from it was they write an article like promoting them and everything, and then you get boosted. And then when New York Times, it's like New York Times is the one that just promotes everything.
Yeah.
Like they just send it all out to where basically you're like, if New York Times says something about you, then that's the gospel.
Yeah.
And the media and everything else has to follow what New York Times says. And so I guess New York Times, when they switched, they needed something like prove it, wherever. So they asked these media companies, and the media companies like go and they're like, well, they're saying it, so it must be true.
Yeah.
So then they go and start like investigating, looking into it or whatever. So I saw that, and then I started looking and was like, damn, is that why the Nelk Boys haven't been posting?
Yeah, no, I saw that, but I didn't know how much credibility or anything that guy had.
I don't either, but when you start looking and you're like, oh, wait, they actually aren't doing anything. Like, is there something behind it, or is it like...
Or is that the reason he came out with that video?
I mean,
like,
he got views. Obviously,
yeah.
me and you saw it, right? So it may have been a good marketing thing. But either way, it does get you thinking to where, like, I mean, one, I think like, Kyle seems like a guy where he wants to build. I mean, just from what I've seen, like, listening to him on podcasts and stuff, I don't know him, never met the guy, but he seems like a guy who does want to build like a company that lasts generations and not just like, make a bunch of money and be done.
Yeah.
Obviously, like he owns that Happy Dad, and in order to promote that, he needs to be out there continuing to market and do things that promote his drink. Because, I
really don't think he does though. Like to promote it to the max capacity, yeah. But like my parents, I went home and they had Happy. They're like, have you tried these? I was like, oh yeah, that's like Nelk's drink. And they're like, who's Nelk?
no way.
Yeah, like they just bought them because they're in the store and like people said they were good.
Yeah, that's when you start.
So like I don't think he does need to do that. Like if parents are buying them like without even knowing who they are, like it's just a seltzer now.
Yeah, and I mean the big thing with the Nelk Boys, dude, like the one thing that put them mainstream is Dana White.
Yeah.
Like he has pushed them, and I don't even know why. Actually, I think they introduced him because his kid, right? Dana White, his kid liked the Nelk Boys.
Yeah, I don't remember who they met first. If it was Dana or Trump.
It was Dana, and Dana introduced him to Trump. And it was during C19 when Dana brought him out to like Abu Dhabi at one fight. And yeah, I think they got connected or whatever. And then he got introduced Trump. And I guess like Kyle and Dana are like that. Like they're close together.
Yeah.
And so I guess, I don't know, like that kind of connection obviously can get you far, but it goes to show like how much network means, like how much when you connect with people and like
that's also like the top fucking connection you can have.
No, that's what I'm saying is because he got that connection. Now look at his company. Now your parents are drinking his drink and they don't even know who he is. That's the kind of stuff where it's like like a lot of people they're like don't go to college, waste of time, which I would agree with. Right? If you're going to college for a business degree, it's kind of worthless. Honestly, I got one, and I haven't even hung the damn paper on my wall because it's so worthless.
See, I'd say that's super situation. Like,
wait, what? Situation?
Situation to situation.
Oh,
like situational.
Okay.
Like obviously, if you want to be a doctor or something, like you have to go to college.
Which I think is stupid, but yes, you do.
So like that, I don't think it's a scam. Like overall, do I think the college system is a scam? It's hard to even say like it's like yes, but no at the same time because it's so not regularized, like normalized.
Mainstream.
Like it's just so like people just let it die down. That doesn't even seem like a scam now because you legit have to do it to get some jobs. And even the same situation, like my brother, he's doing well for himself now. Like he's making over 6 figures a year or whatever, probably like close to double that. And he got a business degree, and he got a job because he had connections in Midland with like all these different.
Is the connections?
Yeah, he had the connections.
You're saying a prerequisite is the degree.
Well, I'm just saying I don't think he would have got that same position if he wouldn't have had his degree. I don't think they necessarily care like, oh, he has a business degree, he learned all his business stuff. They see he has a business degree, he stuck to something for 4 years, studied, went to class, finished everything. He has drive. Yeah. We'll hire him.
So my dad, he owns businesses. He owns a few businesses, and that's what he said because I didn't want to go to college.
Yeah.
And that's what his point was that one, they're paying for my college because if I was paying for my college, I would have gone.
Yeah.
At all. So one, they're paying for my college. Two, when he's hiring, he doesn't look at what like obviously colleges do mean a little bit depending on you go to some JUCO or something. Like there's difference in variance, but not too much. Like if you graduate from Texas Tech or you graduate from Texas, there's not too much of a difference as far as education goes. It just comes with like, oh, I graduated from Texas.
But I think there is a big difference that comes from hiring. Like I went through Blinn, which is like sister school for A&M, so I didn't necessarily go through A&M, but like I don't know if every school says this, but if you graduate with an A&M degree, like you're very likely going to get a good job.
Every school says that.
I don't think so. Like
every school says that because they want to sell more degrees.
You don't think that if an A&M kid and a Texas Tech kid applied to a job, they wouldn't think the A&M guy might be a little bit more qualified? I think they would. I think Tech is seen as like Texas and A&M. They might even lean towards Texas.
There's a bias. So if you, my real estate firm, the owner of the firm is a Texas Tech grad. He's very much into Texas Tech. And if you're a Red Raider, he loves you. If you are a Aggie, he hates you.
Well,
so in that way, he's going to hire you because you're Texas Tech. There's a bias behind it.
Did you meet my landlord in College Station?
No.
I thought you did one time.
You talked to me about him.
Yeah, he was there, and he actually graduated from Tech. He was a Raider. And he was like, I graduated from Tech. He's like, but I only hire Aggies. He's like, because he's like, I know what kids that go to Tech do all the time.
Stigma. There's a stigma.
Yeah, he's like, I know people that go to Tech do. He's like, they're the party, get out of school. He's like, kids that go to A&M are there to get an education, or whatever. In my head, I'm like, I mean, I know a lot of kids at A&M that aren't here to get an education.
Yeah.
But
okay.
I don't know. But at the same time, like I say that, but it's from like me saying I don't think college is a complete waste of time is also coming from a perspective of me not having to take loans out and pay for my
exactly.
If Hunter were to get that same business degree but be $200,000 in debt, I don't think it's worth it.
I don't think it's worth it either because the amount of setback that puts you, like
I've seen people who said they started at like $150,000 in debt. They've paid like $90,000 and there's like $140,000 in debt still.
Yeah. Yeah, because of the interest. Yeah. No, it is that is the stuff that I mean that is like criminal.
Yeah.
Where you're enslaved because when you have a debt payment, you have to pay them. And that's the one that you can't get forgiven. Mm-hmm. And so that's the stuff that's like, ooh, that's rough. But the reason why I was kind of connecting all this together, I'm glad I went to college.
Yeah, I'm not saying.
Like now 20 years down the line for my kids, is they going to be the same thing? I don't know. I mean, only time will tell. But right now, I went to college. I graduated. The degree, the education that I got, not there. I've got more education, actual learning skills from actually being in the practice of actually doing the stuff because I was a business management degree. So actually being in a business, actually operating, doing those things, I've gained more of an education through that. But the connections that I got in college helped push my business further outside of college.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think was true, but there's three guys in particular. I would say about 10 people that I met in college that made college worth it. 3 people for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, made it worth it all the way. All the years, all the time, everything for those 3 people that I met was worth it. And I think that's kind of the same way with those Nelk Boys and Dana White. They're like, put in all this hours. Then they finally got introduced to Dana White. Boom, that made them, right? It is so much about network. And one of the reasons why I want to move to Austin, one of the reasons why I want to travel more, do more things, meet more people, because I think that network is so, so important. And you still need a good business by all means. Like Happy Dad needs to be a good drink in order for your parents to drink it. Mm-hmm. But to be promoted on the UFC platform, to be promoted they have a fight every week, don't they?
Close sometimes,
And the amount of attention that they bring not only to UFC, but that UFC brings to them outside, like in social media and all that stuff. Like I was not a UFC fan until the Nelk Boys got with Dana White.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of UFC fans who probably could say I wasn't an Nelk Boy fan until they came in with UFC and Dana White. Mm-hmm. And so it's really, that is what's cool about that networking stuff. But one figure that I do love is, since I got kind of introduced in the UFC, is Sean Strickland. Yeah. And he's fighting this next week, right?
Yeah, he's fighting Dricus Duplessis.
Yeah, I would never know.
Yeah, he's I still don't remember if he's Australian. He sounds Australian, but then I think he claims to be South African or something because him and what's his name? Izzy are from the same place.
Yeah.
And Izzy was talking shit because he's not black, but he says he claims to be South African and all this stuff. So there's all sorts of arguments there. But yeah, that's what.
Just because you're not black doesn't mean that.
I'm pretty sure South African's dominantly white.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's far superior.
Yeah.
Not superior.
Whoa.
Hold on there, Chief. No, there's a far majority.
The whites are far superior. You heard it here first.
No, there is not majority either, but there is a large minority that is white people. The majority's black.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, majority's black, but there's a large minority that is white people.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
I'm walking on thin ice on that question.
Yeah. But yeah, the reason the Sean and Jerkis fight so big is because Sean was after, I'm trying to think who Jerkis beat that last fight. He beat someone and like, I'm not kidding, his coach came up and like hugged him. I'm pretty sure he like grabbed his cup, like grabbing his cup, like shaking him around. And like, that's just how they greet each other, I guess. So,
is it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Just grab a cup.
Yeah, and like
Try to get
kiss
a
him, on,
drink.
Kiss him on the cheek. I swear to God, he might have kissed him on the lips. I honestly don't remember, but like, he at least kissed him on the cheek. You know how Sean is.
Yeah.
He's like, he's like, oh, that's what he said. That's what I was trying to think of the verbiage he used. He's like, oh, trust me. He's like, when we fight, he's like, you're gonna get finished. He's like, either I'm gonna finish you or your coach is gonna finish you in the back after the fight, like something like that. And then that's when Jerk was like, he's like, oh yeah, he's like, you want to talk about our fight now? He's like, you're gonna be having flashbacks when your dad was in your bedroom beating your ass when you were a kid. And Sean, you could tell something clicked in his head. He was just pissed. Like you could tell he was like raging.
And those make it good.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh, you effing F word, like FAG, that one. He's like, oh, you effing whatever. He's like, which isn't socially acceptable, really.
Yeah.
Which UFC, I feel like anything's acceptable. But even
Dana, did he have to come apologize?
Yeah, Dana was like, well, I think someone else. I don't remember seeing what he said about Sean saying it, but a few weeks before that, two guys both said it on their post-fight conference, dropped the same word. Yeah, and he's like, when you win a fight, he's like, you got not testosterone, you got adrenaline running. He's like, you say some things you probably shouldn't say. Yeah. He's like, but hey, he's like, what are you gonna do? He's like, it's up to them what they say. So, but yeah, and I'm ready for that Sean fight. I think that's gonna be that'll be a good one. For sure.
Well, that is the cool thing about like Dana and the UFC is that they're able to just platform these guys to where they don't have to like, I don't know what the contracts are or whatever, but they're not like actually in the organization of UFC. Like they're not an employee of the UFC, I don't think.
I mean, I think they technically are, like, because there's some type of like, I don't remember the abbreviation. It's like ASDA or something, like ASDA or something like that. It's like the testing pool, which like whenever you're in the UFC,
USADA.
It might be USADA.
Yeah, USADA is testing.
Yeah,
I just know that because of steroids and blood work.
I think it might be USADA then, but like there's a Twitter account. I think it's like the USADA account, and they tweet whenever somebody's like entered or exited the USADA pool, and that basically means like earlier this year it said Conor McGregor has entered the USADA pool, and that tweet like blew up because it means that he's getting tested again because he's going to fight soon. So everyone's like, oh, Conor McGregor fight's coming up. So like whenever you're in the organization, you're also like in other things getting tested and stuff. So I'm sure you have a contract where you're part of the organization.
Well, USADA's not. USADA gets contracted out as well.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But like if like Conor got put in that, I'm sure he also signed a contract with the UFC at the same time. Like,
no, he probably did. But that's what I think. Like you can't really cancel UFC because Conor McGregor says something.
Yeah. Well, actually, now I think about it, I know there's contracts because. Like when Jake Paul wants to fight certain UFC fighters, like in boxing, he's like, tell Dana to release them from their contract so they can come fight, like because they're not allowed to fight in any other organization until they're off their contract. So they definitely are contracted, like by UFC. Like
but employee is different than contracted. Like I'm like you can be, this is a different kind of structure. That's all. That's just with law and like government and stuff. I'm just thinking because I'm like, I wonder if that ties the same if like because lawsuits are like canceling kind of. Yeah. Right. So I'm like, if he says something, can the UFC get sued and like taken down? But I bet in the contract that they sign, they're like, you are not a part of the UFC. Yeah. You have just this contract that you signed to make you. Maybe. I bet there's some like verbiage that's like that because. It is like UFC is like a lean thing where it's very, it's a good business model. Dana White's smart, and not only that, I mean he's smart with everything else he does too. That's why, like I said, that's why your parents are drinking. Happy dads, yeah. That's pretty cool. But I think that's gonna be it for the podcast. We appreciate you watching, joining, viewing. As always, what do you think, guys? If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, in the comment section below. Otherwise, guys, take it easy. Catch you later. Peace.